Hi everyone, for those who don't know me, my name's Julia Goman and I'm a piano and violin teacher here in Leighton Buzzard. Some of you may know I've recently gone back to teaching full-time. I took a little bit of time out when I had my little boy and then sort of was part-time when he was still small. And this week I've gone back to teaching full-time, which has been really good. So I had 20 new pupils this week in addition to my current pupils, so it's been a busy week, but it's been really fun. I really enjoyed it and we've had some great lessons. One of the things that occurred to me when I was teaching this week is that I was kind of covering a lot of the same things in my lessons because everyone was starting from the same point, all beginners. And one of the main things that we covered was sort of how to hold our hands and our fingers, the sort of positions that we use when we play the piano. And so it got me thinking perhaps it would be useful to do a sort of video tutorial for you as parents to watch at home, and then you might understand a bit more kind of what I'm trying to get across to the pupils in lessons, and this might be useful when you're doing, practice with them at home. If they're trying to show you something, then you might kind of understand a bit more what I'm trying to get across in the lessons. So hopefully this will be useful, and I'll just take you through a few of the things which we covered in our lessons this week. So the first thing which we kind of talked about was how to hold our hand, like our hand shape when we play the piano. So we want to be making this kind of shape, if you can see here between my thumb and forefinger, this curly C shape. This is the kind of shape that we want to make here, so that then when we transfer this to the piano, it becomes this nice kind of curved round shape. We learnt a little rhyme with the pupils which was about kind of having a stone under our hand. So we imagine we've got a beautiful shiny coloured stone under our hand and we want to make this nice shape, this curly C shape, to keep the stone safe underneath. So when we transfer this to the piano, this is the kind of shape that we want with our wrist. What we don't want ever is for our wrists to be down here on the wooden part of the piano. So we really discourage this kind of shape. I tell the students to imagine that this bit is hot, so we don't want to touch it, we want to lift our hand up so it doesn't touch the hot bit. You may find pupils sometimes will struggle with this if the height of their seat is too low. So for example, particularly with younger pupils, if their seat is really down low, then you may find that their arm is kind of down here underneath the keys, and the goal is for their arm to be in line with the keys, kind of like this, parallel to the keys. So what you may need to do if they're struggling with this is put something under them to sit on. I've got a piano stool which is adjustable. It can move up and down using this. So you may have a piano stool like this, and if so, then that's perfect. You can just raise them a little bit higher. If you don't have an adjustable piano stool, or if you're just using, a dining chair or something like that, it's easily solved. Just put a few cushions under them so that they're raised up a little bit until their arm is kind of nice and in line with the keys here, and then it's much easier to keep this round hand shape, which we're looking for. So that's the first thing, hand shape. The next thing, which we were talking about in lessons, was our sort of finger shape when we play the piano. And a sort of analogy which I use, particularly with the younger children, is the story of Peter Pan, and we talk about the baddie in Peter Pan, who is of course Captain Hook, and it's that sort of shape which we want to be making with our fingers, a kind of hooked shape like this. So we kind of avoid straight fingers. We never want straight fingers like this. Equally, when we make our sort of hook shape, we don't want to let our fingers bend at this little crease here. So we never want the hook to break like that, because that results in a kind of really weak finger. So if you can keep this curved hook shape, and I tell the children to sort of imagine Captain Hook and how strong that hook is, that's what we want to do with our fingers, keep a really kind of strong hook shape like this, so that when you press the key, you're maintaining that shape and keeping this really strong. What we don't want to see is this flat fingers, because that's going to be really difficult to play. So when we're playing lots of notes as we progress, they're going to need these curved fingers to keep the playing really strong. So I think that's the main two things that we want to talk about this week in terms of our hand shape, keeping it nice and round, avoiding slouching wrists like this, avoiding the wood, keeping this shape up, and keeping the really nice curved strong hook shape in the fingers. So this is something which I've been going over, you know, the basics with all my young beginners this week, but this is equally useful for players of all ages to refresh, because it's quite common for players to kind of let this slip over the years, and sometimes the fingers can go a little bit straight, or they can start kind of bending and sort of falling down at this joint in the finger. So whether you're a new beginner or whether you've been playing for a while, just have a little look at your hand position this week and see if you're kind of following these steps. And yeah, I hope this is useful. If there's anything else that you'd like me to go over, perhaps particularly for players who've been doing it for a while and there's little things that you want to refresh, do just drop me an email. I'm happy to do another tutorial on something else, and I'd really value your feedback to see what would be useful for you. So yeah, I hope that's helpful for now. Thank you. Bye.